Okay, good afternoon. Committee on Labor and Technology, Wednesday, March 13th. Okay, 3 p.m. agenda, we're in conference room 224, Hawaii State Capitol. Okay, a number of House bills, but before we start, this meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end due to technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at 3:20 p.m. on Friday. This Friday, the 15th, room 224. Okay, and we do have a 1-minute time limit. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, up first, House Bill 1794, House Draft 1. Relating to taxation. Up first, we have DOE tax.
Good afternoon, Gary Sitting with the taxation. Stands on testimony of your comments.
Okay, thank you, Director. Okay, up next, we have Serve PAC. Serve PAC.
Chair, Vice Chair, no, Your Honor. So I cannot
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Tax Foundation of Hawaii.
Not present on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Okay, up next we have Hawaiian Electric. Okay, Chamber of Commerce. Okay, both in support. Charter Communications. Okay, with comments. Okay, Hawaiian Telecom. Okay, also with comments. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, questions? Vice Chair.
Director Suganuma, your testimony says that you need until December 2024 to execute. If that's the case, this bill goes from 2023 to 2026. Would that be 2024 to then 2027?
Yeah, if you wanted to make it open for 3 years, you could just extend the sunset
So
date.
we should make that
Yeah,
change then. But you need until the end of December.
And the
to
reason we
execute.
need the extra time is even though this credit was in existence some time ago, it was in existence back before TSM. And so we would have to program it into the system. It's not in now. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Director, what's the fiscal impact of this?
For assuming the current dates, the effective date and sunset date for 2025, expected revenue loss of 400,000. Same for fiscal 26, and then for fiscal 27, revenue loss of 500,000.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members, any other questions? Seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 2489, House Draft 1. Okay, related to tax administration. Okay, up first, again, we have DOE tax, Director.
Good afternoon, Gary Sugunuma, Director of Taxation. The department strongly supports this administration measure. What we're trying to do here is to establish exempt high-level software developers within our department. The exempt position that we want to create through this measure would do high-level work that is currently, being provided through the provision of professional services, contracted services. And so what we're trying to do is build internal capacity to handle these complex system changes in-house so that we can over time reduce the amount of professional services that we're purchasing now.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Director. Okay, up next, we have HGA. Okay, thank you very much. Any others wishing to testify? House Bill 2489, House Draft 1. Okay, seeing none, members, questions? Vice Chair.
Again, Director. So how many positions are we talking about? And what is the intent?
Initially, for fiscal 25, we're just asking for one position. In fiscal 26, if this is approved, then in fiscal 26 would be coming back for 2 more positions. and in fiscal 27, one final one. So what we're envisioning is the creation of 4 exempt positions, which would allow us to reduce our current contracted services by 1 FTE.
So how many FTEs are in your current contract that you're hoping to replace by
5.
employees? So right now you have no employees, they're all on contract,
We do have employees. So right now we have.
under the contract. No, under the contract that you're trying to replace.
Under the contract, we're purchasing currently 5 FTEs, which doesn't necessarily mean just 5 bodies in the office. I'm not sure exactly how they calculate it, but at times there are many more than 5 contractors working. But I think over the long haul, it averages to the equivalent work of 5 full-time workers.
So if you were to get these exempt positions, I guess you're looking at the quality would be at par with what you're getting on the contract. What would be the savings to the state?
Yeah, so under the plan that we're proposing, by fiscal 2027, we would have the creation of 4 new exempt positions that could do the high-level work. We would reduce our contracted services by 1 FTE. We wouldn't need 4 of our current civil service positions. So right now we have a total of 15 civil service IT positions, but we can't fill them anyway. So right now I think we have 8 vacancies, and realistically, we're not going to ever be able to fill all of them. And so we're still going to need the civil service IT positions, but we could give up 4. That would leave us with 11 civil service IT Band B positions. Those civil service positions would be responsible for doing, basically maintaining this existing system, doing routine updates, system monitoring, and day-to-day stuff. The exempt positions would be able to do what the exempt services are providing now, which is more, which is basically improving and building the system, building in new functionality and features, and also programming the system for law changes.
But
I'm sorry, I didn't answer your full question.
No, okay, continue.
So if we could implement our plan, the cost savings would be about 180,000 a year from 2027 going forward, over what we're paying right now.
So you're going to use the 180,000 to buy, and ultimately 4 positions, 4 exempt positions. What are you doing with your, okay, so you have 8 vacancies, so you're consolidating that and creating exempt positions, or how is that? What is your intent?
No, so right now we have 8 vacancies. So our request this year is to give up 2 civil service IT positions. That would fund the 1 exempt position that we're creating. Then the following year, for fiscal 26, we would want 2 more exempt positions. We're not going to give up any civil service positions at that time. But in fiscal 27, we will ask for 1 civil service and give up, we're going to ask for 1 exempt and give up 2 civil service. So altogether, we're giving up 4 civil service to help fund the new 4 exempt. And that would allow us to reduce our contracted services by 1 FTE, which is about, 1 FTE is about 450,000 in savings right there already. And
From
so
the contract.
yeah, and so it'll net out to about 180,000 less than what we're paying now.
So the HGA testimony says that these are exempt positions are at will. So, you know, their concern is that we have civil service positions so that their employees and protected. So what is the difference between, well, how can you hire civil service positions versus exempt? What is the difference, and why are you looking at exempt positions?
Because currently right now, under the civil service classifications, we're not able to hire people with the qualifications that we need. So for example, someone that would be a candidate for this exempt position we're talking about needs to be already familiar with our system, or ideally would be maybe 5 years experience, and they would have a lot more experience to probably, I guess, oversee and check the work done by the civil service staff. So we're viewing it as not substituting for civil service, but we're creating a class of, it's above the classifications in civil service that we already have. And so, like I said, like the exempt positions that we're envisioning, they would be providing the services that currently now we exclusively contract for, because our civil service staff is not qualified to do it. And so what we're hoping is by having this exempt position, we would be able to attract possibly back some of the IT workers that we had previously that left for outside work, because they would already have experience with our system. And this would be a possible way to bring them back.
So you're saying they left because the civil service position was the salary, or was it the work? Why did they leave and they're coming back now because the position's exempt?
My understanding is a lot of them left because of salary.
The salary.
So we bring them in, we train them up, they work for us for a few years, and then they can make a lot more money in the private sector.
Is the HRD director? I thought I saw her. There you go. Can you come up for a minute, please? So, can you announce yourself?
Hi, Brenna Hashimoto, Director of DHERT.
So you heard the challenges that DOTAX is having in terms of hiring employees that know the software system and development, and is at salaries not probably high enough to attract people that they need, the competencies they need. What can be done in terms of that, or is exempt positions the only way to go to address that problem?
We do have a broadbanding program for IT specialists, so there is some flexibility in terms of compensation, but I believe the expertise, the specialized expertise that Director Suganuma is referring to may be challenging to find in the general public. And sometimes for certain types of specialized skills, it is easier to attract somebody through the exempt routes than civil service. I think you see that with the enterprise technology services staff, where they have the ability to fill, to establish and fill exempt positions because of the nature of IT work specifically. It's sort of a unique situation in some sense. There's definitely a need for civil service positions to maintain, but there is sometimes, and I'm not familiar with their system in particular, but we find that there are exceptions that require specialized skills and training that just is not readily available in the marketplace.
So IT is one of those areas where the expertise is not the usual, I guess,
Yeah,
not
IT
the
is
typical.
often one that's cited as being very market driven, and because the knowledge and the skills become easily outdated, it really is a unique class of work.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Senator Lee.
Thanks. Just wanted to follow up on the conversation the Vice Chair was having. I mean, I think if we go back, maybe, first of all, I understand like where you guys are coming from, but if you go back like 10 or 15 years, I think every year, it's fair to say along then, you've had this evolution of technology, and certainly we've had a lot of different plans for how to evolve, in particular DOTAX's systems, and spent some considerable dollars trying to do that in different ways. But going forward, I mean, clearly it seems like that's not going to change much. I mean, that trajectory and that evolution and kind of where we're headed, and you're still going to need some of that flexibility and some of that, basically everything you've been talking about as a skill set within the office and within staff, whether it's civil service or exempt or anything. But if that's the case, wouldn't we want a civil service sector that is able to attract and retain folks at that level, at a higher level, commensurate with the private sector, so that we're not having to kind of come through and do this every time. Because we did this in the energy office, we did this in a number of other places over the years where we created exempt positions, specifically because we wanted somebody who traditional civil service just didn't have on hand or didn't have an easy path for. And if that's the case, is there not a discussion to be had about how we create that, rather than doing an exempt position today for this, create a pathway that would actually create the capacity in civil service so that you can pay adequately, you can have competitive this or that or whatever is necessary at the time?
Yeah, maybe that's a conversation beyond my level. So from our perspective, what we're trying to do is, to the extent you're asking whether or not it might be better to pursue creating a new classification of civil service that could service our needs. I guess our thought is that because we're only looking for 4 bodies at the most, and these are highly specialized to our own system, and it's not, I don't know what the needs are for the other departments, but if it's only for 4 positions, we thought that this was a quicker, more efficient way to meet our needs, is to create the exempt positions for us, as opposed to trying to create a new classification that would be, I guess, applicable to other departments.
Would you guys be opposed to doing that route?
It would depend on,
Or even in a compromise, for example, saying, all right, here's a couple years worth of, exempt capacity, but in that time, ultimately the end goal is to provide capacity, not just for DOTAX, but for all the departments to have that higher level ability to attract and retain within civil service for these kinds of kind of specialized positions.
not necessarily opposed. I think what we're trying to do is, we hear the concerns, especially of Senate Ways and Means Committee, on how much we're spending on contracted services to maintain our system and to make these changes that we need every year when the law changes, the tax laws change. So what we're trying to do is try to think of the quickest way that we can reduce our need for the contracted services. And so this is what we've come up with. It depends on how long a new classification, creating a new classification would take. And if you guys are okay with, I think it's going to take longer. And so if you guys are okay with allowing us to continue using the contracted services until we can get that in place, we don't have any problem with that.
Sure. I guess I just worry that the quick and dirty way, obviously is tends to be preferable when you have something immediately in front of you. But we've seen this, well, at least I've been aware of seeing this, I don't know how many times over the years already. So it seemed like having some sort of broader, bigger fix ought to be part of that conversation. But anyway, thank you. Thank you very much.
So this is really a question for HRD director in terms of Senator Lee's question, is that IT is an evolving and very highly technical area, but the state really does need highly talented people in IT, because we run, I think, the biggest IT system in the state. So in terms of that, what can be done, or so we need now these exempt positions to get them off contract. That's heavily that we want to save money on. But in the long run, what would the classification look like? So as Senator Lee is asking, can we raise the bar and have an IT system, civil service, that could meet the same kind of levels that we have in IT and exempt?
Yes, the answer is yes, we could, but it's, the devil's in the details, of course. One of the reasons that we went to broadbanding is to be able to be more generic and encompass lots of different types of IT specialists. So I'm not sure that it's actually a classification issue so much as it's a compensation issue. And so that would require, of course, further conversations with ETS as well, because they obviously have the largest contingent of IT specialists. It's obviously a budget concern as well. But we could certainly explore different compensation alternatives. And I think you folks are already aware that when it comes to compensation, those issues are typically negotiable subjects. So we would have to involve the union in whatever approach we took to IT compensation.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 2373, House Draft 1. Okay, up first, we have BNF Director.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator. Louis Oliver from Budget and Finance will stand on our written testimony in support.
Okay, thank you very much. The Judiciary. Okay, Eric Tanigawa, HR Director, in support. Okay, UH, Calbert Young. Okay, support. Okay, UPW.
Chair, Vice Chair, Senator,
Okay, thank you very much. HHSC. Okay, also in support. Any others wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 2374, House Draft 1. Okay, again, BNF Director.
Chair, Vice Chair, Senator, once again, we will stand on our testimony in support.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, University of Hawaii. Okay, the Judiciary, both in support. Okay, HGA. Okay, thank you very much. HHSC. Okay, support. Any others wishing to testify? House Bill 2374. Okay, seeing none. Questions?
I do.
Yeah,
This
Vice
is for Budget Finance Director, Salveria. Just a question in terms of timeline. Where are we in terms of looking at the emergency appropriations and for each of the bargaining units? You're in negotiation now, but what kind of timeline do we have?
I mean, we're currently in discussions with each one of with the two bargaining units with regards to the temporary hazard pay. Just awaiting some certain confirmation, but right now we're in process. So, this is not an EA. This particular bill, this is a collective bargaining bill that would be effective come fiscal year FY25.
But it does include all of the hazard pay from the fires, or is this something separate?
No, this is something
Okay.
separate. Vice Chair, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other questions, members? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 2655, House Draft 1. Okay, up first, we have the Office of the Ombudsman. Okay, support. Hawaii State Ethics Commission. Okay. Legislative Reference Bureau. Okay, State Auditor. Okay, all in support. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, questions? Okay, moving on to House Bill 1556, House Draft 2. Okay, into State Employment. Okay, T-Herd, Director. Okay, thank you very much, Director. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, questions? I have a quick question for Director. Okay, thank you for being here again. So you mentioned in testimony that that these new positions that would be added would provide a much needed boost to ESD. And we believe so as well, but you mentioned 50%. Is there a certain metric? Is there a certain formula that you follow that would make that type of assumption?
It's based on the current staffing level that we have. So we have currently 10 staff that are involved in screening applications. And so by increasing our staff by approximately 5 positions, we anticipate that we'll be able to reduce the time that it takes us to certify lists and get the lists out to the departments by 50%.
Okay, so what would that be?
It depends. And it's a complicated response because if we have a list that's readily available, we can turn it around in about 48 hours. But if we need to conduct a new recruitment, meaning we don't have a list on hand, then it generally takes a couple of weeks to get it posted. And then it takes, we leave it open for at least a couple of weeks so applicants can hopefully see it and apply. And then once the recruitment is closed, and sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's short, sometimes it can be open for up to a month. There's certain jobs that we leave open longer because they're really popular. And then it takes 2 to 3 months to screen and get the list out, sometimes shorter and sometimes longer than that. So we're hoping to get that total time frame down to closer to about from the time we get the request to the time we issue the list, about 2 months. And that's ambitious, but that's our goal.
And so what would the cost be?
It depends on the level of positions, but I think it's right around $350,000 for 5 human resource specialist 5 positions, which is the classification of the individuals who do this work currently.
Okay, thank you very much, Director. Okay, members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 1640 relating to collective bargaining. Okay, first we have BNF Director.
We will stand on our written testimony provided by it.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you hear Director?
We stand on our written testimony in opposition.
Okay, thank you. Okay, up next we have Nola Miyazaki, St. County of Honolulu. Okay, Department of Human Resources with comments. Okay, we have County of Maui. Okay, HR Department. Okay, in opposition, County of Kauai, Department of Human Resources. Okay, with comments, United Public Workers.
Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Lee, call out.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, up next we have the Hawaii Association of School Psychologists. In person. Okay, and support, HGA.
Chair, you know, I defer to the other side. And our testimony is strong support and very answer questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Hawaii State Fed, AFL-CIO, once again. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, questions?
Oh, Mr. Pereira.
Vice Chair.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I know that this repricing issue has gone kind of back and forth for a while, and I don't know if you've read both BNF and HRD testimonies, but the concern about how if you have 30 days versus 90 days going to impasse, it would really affect the administration of all of our programs and the cost. What do you see as any compromise in terms of this language? Because the repricing is an important tool to have equitable pricing of different classes. So what do you see any other way than these really short time frames that you have in the
Well, frankly, Vice Chair, I think the timeframes are somewhat arbitrary, and they were built into the crafting of the bill. But we've not had any conversation with the employers regarding an alternate time frame that could be utilized. For us, the importance is the process and to provide some means of resolving disputed pricing.
So you're not wedded to what's in this bill in terms of the days, 30 days for them to respond to any initiated request and 90 days to impasse. The impasse part bothers me because then you're like going through negotiations.
Well, With respect to the specific timeframes that are in the bill, no, I'm not particularly wed to anything. At the same time, in 2020, in the year 2000, when the so-called civil service reform took effect, the employer was required by law to do studies every 5 years of the pricing. And contrary to what they might tell us, that we know they don't. So for us, there has to be an enforceable time period. It's arbitrary to talk about 30 days versus 90, but there has to be some means by which these disputes can be resolved. If not, the alternative, which we may end up seeing soon, would be I will take all of them to interest arbitration as part of the master contract negotiations and tie that process up.
You know, in the past, there used to be PCAB, right? Where
Yes.
they had regular meetings, I recall.
Yes.
So would something like that at least be much more, I'm going to say collaborative, but at least more an assessment of what the case is, and then you can look at all of the classifications that are affected.
I'm
across
very
the
happy you asked that
jurisdictions.
question, Senator, because in 2000, it was the employers that proposed to do away with PCAB because they found the process cumbersome. And as part of the discussions that led to the legislation that became known as civil service reform, in response from us union folks regarding the abolition of PCAB, we, one, demanded, and they agreed, that repricing would then become negotiable. And two, the 5-year time frame during which pricing must be studied was to be implemented. So we've gone down this road, and it wasn't the 6 public sector unions that opposed or rather that proposed the elimination of the PCAB. What we've done after 20 years of inaction has been to pursue legislation that would create a different kind of process, at least similar in concept to what PCAB could and did do in the past. That's the point, trying to find some means to resolve the disputes.
Because it would be much more, I would say, measured in terms of decisions made on pricing or repricing versus something like this case by case that comes up and then we go to impasse and then all over again. So it just seems that there must be something else better than the 30-90 impasse. You know,
I would say that conceptually, yes, you could well be right, but I would also insist that the process would have to be fair, because in truth, the composition of the PCAB board wasn't always fair. It was one-sided for the employers. And in today's world, where, as the director recently stated in another bill, more issues regarding salary are market-driven, we would certainly hope for a more objective and balanced process. So conceptually, yes, you're correct, but so it wouldn't have to involve these arbitrary time periods, but the process would, and I would insist, have to be fair. And frankly, I think to some degree today, we're attempting to do the state a favor by pressing the issue on the repricing of certain job classes where the vacancy rate is extraordinarily high. And clearly, as both the tax director and HR director testified, that pay remains not only, but one of the primary issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a better way than this time limit, but I think the idea of repricing and needing to look at it more in terms of maybe even in terms of those classes that are really like lots of positions that are vacant, maybe those can at least be assessed.
True, and I would respond and volunteer that contrary to what some of the fears that have been suggested about how our organization, for example, may approach this, we will only have so many staff too, so we're not in a position to be able to tie ourselves up to do everything. So it's not as if we're going to have the time and ability to come for everything. We've been focused on areas, as we are, for example, currently with the City and County of Honolulu, regarding engineers, because the state and the city are just not competitive right now with the shipyard, trying to attract and retain engineers. But anyway.
Okay. Great, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, members. Any other questions? Sally? Oh, you raised your hand. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next measure. House Bill 1944, House Draft 2, related to workers' comp. Okay, up first, we have Department of Labor Industrial Relations.
Chair, Vice Chair,
Oh,
Senator,
okay,
are we,
Any-
oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much. We'll call you if we have any questions. Thank you very much. Okay, up next, we have DCAP, Kirby Shaw. Okay, support. Okay, Hawaii Insurance Council, HIC. Okay, support. Okay, Mary Kishimoto, Michael Cooper, Anson Rego, Laurie Hamano. All in support. Members, we did receive late testimony from Dr. McCaffrey, testifying on behalf of the Hawaii Injured Workers Association. Okay, in support. Any others wishing to testify? House Bill 1944. Seeing none, members, questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure. House Bill 2463, House Draft 2, relating to wage and hour law. Okay, Department of Labor. Okay, thank you very much. Democratic Party of Hawaii, Education Caucus, Chris Caulfield, Chair. Okay, and support Nicole Wu. Okay, Hawaii Children's Action Network speaks. Okay, Chris Caulfield again. In his capacity as Legislative Committee of the Democratic Party of Hawaii co-chair. Okay, support Jason Bradshaw. Okay, Democratic Party of Hawaii Labor Caucus. And support Maui Chamber of Commerce. Pamela Tumpap. Give it comments. Okay, any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, questions? Okay, go ahead, Vice Chair.
So, David, I don't know if you can answer this question, but didn't we pass something like this, that there would be no minimum wage? Oh, Cheryl? Oh.
Okay, thank you. Can you can introduce yourself, please?
Cheryl Lee, Administrator for the Wage Standards Division.
Cheryl, didn't we pass something that there's no minimum wage? We
That's what
just.
we tried
Oh,
to.
so we didn't pass it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was my
sorry.
understanding. It didn't.
Okay, so this would now correct it so that but it still has, I thought we weren't going to have any cap.
That's what we wanted. But this 4,000, it still meets the minimum wage up until it increases to $18, but we actually put a trigger in there to include overtime. So the 4,000 doesn't include overtime if an employee were to work overtime. So it just meets pretty much minimum wage.
So do we want to just delete the cap?
We would, that was our.
I mean, I thought that was what we were working on, no?
Right,
So-
right.
So how would we change this if we wanted to delete it? What would the impact be of deleting the cap? Because then everybody's treated as minimum wage.
Correct. So if it were deleted, it just gives everyone the opportunity. The
To
same.
get workers' comp
Well,
and any other.
I don't know about workers' comp, but for
and
overtime.
overtime.
Yes.
So
It would
what,
be like a
how
little-
would we would just delete this whole, how would we amend this if we wanted to?
To just eliminate the salary.
Oh, so it would
And
just
that
be
everyone
guaranteed
would just be paid
compensation?
the minimum wage
Okay.
as it increases. And then they would be subject to overtime pay.
Overtime pay.
Correct, if they work more than 40 hours.
So that number one, any employed by employer shall not include any individual employee, we just delete that. If we were so inclined.
Correct, we would delete,
Number
I
one.
bet, yes. Then everyone would be subject to
Subject-
the
so
minimum
everybody would-
wage
and
and
then
get
overtime.
overtime if they work more than 40 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
And it doesn't affect anything else in this bill?
no,
Okay, so, sorry, real quick, so was the 4,000 part of the original language?
no.
So how was 4,000 determined then?
It, I believe, came from the House Finance.
So it
It was
came in
my
as
understanding.
2,000 initially, this bill? Oh, this is a
It
House bill.
struck the
It's a House bill.
2,000, it struck the 2,000. Because we're trying to understand how did we get to that particular number
It
that's
was
in the
always
current House
2,000.
draft.
Currently.
Currently it's 2,000, but because the 2,000 right now, it doesn't meet minimum wage. We tried to eliminate it on the Senate side, but then House,
Because my
it
understanding,
just
if,
doubled it.
yeah, because my understanding is the 4,000 covers above and beyond minimum wage, even up to $18.
Correct, but we put a trigger in there in case someone works overtime, that it would be a little bit more, just to be fair.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, so I guess the question is, then you have to come in when the minimum wage increases to then kind of calculate what it might be with the possibility of overtime, rather than just not
Correct,
having.
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
is
oh,
that-
Does that
Want to
make-
introduce yourself anyway? You made your way up here. Oh, okay, all right.
Thank
you very
you,
much.
thank you.
Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next measure, House Bill 2382, relating to the ERS. Okay, of course, we have Department of Labor. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have Thomas Williams, ERS. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that's all the testimony we received. Any others wishing to testify? Okay, seeing none, members, questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the last measure. House Bill 2343. Okay, relating to enforcement of orders of wage payment. Okay, first we have the LIR. Okay, thank you very much. Attorney General's Office.
Madam Chair, I think the general committee on support this bill was my enforcement of which violations.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Danny Kupchoy. Okay, on behalf of the Hoisip PAC, and support any others wishing to testify. Okay, seeing none, we're going to recess briefly for decision making. Okay, reconvening our 3 o'clock agenda for decision making. Okay, up first, we have House Bill 1784, House Draft 1 relating to taxation. Members, the recommendation is to move this as a Senate Draft 1. We're going to make it effective July 1st, 2050, so make it a little bit more closer than the 3,000 that's in the House draft. Okay, but here are the amendments. We're going to be taking the amendments from Charter Communications. Okay, so that would be in section 2, which refers to section 235, 110.51. We're going to be inserting subsections B and C along with H and I. So in subsection B, we're going to remove for each commercial building located. And then we're going to be inserting the amount of the credit shall be 4% of the renovation costs incurred during the taxable year for each commercial building located in Hawai'i. In subsection C, we're going to remove any developer of a commercial building and insert other entity taxed as a partnership for federal income tax purposes. Okay. And also, we're going to be inserting other entity taxed as a partnership for federal income tax purposes. Then in page 3, under renovation costs, we're going to be inserting repair, replace, monitor, test, or purchase technology-enabled infrastructure and include machinery and equipment. Okay? And also on page 3, line 8, we're going to be adding in whole or in part after the word provide. Okay. In addition to that, after some clarification, thanks to DOE Tax Director, this credit will be available for 3 years, end of year 25, to 27, correct? Yes, Director? Okay.
This year is after 24.
Okay.
So it'll be 25, 26, and 27.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Again, the credit will be available from 25, 26, 27 for 3 years, correct? Okay, thank you very much. Members, any questions or concerns with the recommendation? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Okay, for HB 1784, passed with amendments, Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Ihara?
Aye.
Senator Lee?
Aye.
Senator Fubella?
Aye.
Okay, Chair, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. Moving on to House Bill 2489, House Draft 1, relating to tax administration. Members, I'd like to keep this going for further consideration. So we're gonna recommend a Senate Draft 1 with some technical amendments and a defective date of July 1st, 2050 for further discussion. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 2489, all members present, anyone voting no, anyone with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. House Bill 2373, House Draft 1. Okay, relating to collective bargaining. Okay, members' recommendation is to keep this moving as well. Senate Draft 1 would include a defective date of July 1st, 2050. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 2373, passed with amendments, all members present, anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Okay, House Bill 2374, House Draft 1. Okay, again, collective bargaining for certain units that's mentioned in the measure. Members, the recommendation is to move this again as a Senate Draft 1 at a defective date of July 1st, 2050.
HB 2374, all members present, anyone voting no, with reservation, recommendation adopted.
Okay, House Bill 2655, House Draft 1. This would also be a Senate Draft 1, the defective date of July 1st, 2050.
HB 2655, all members present, anyone voting no, reservation, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. House Bill 1556, House Draft 2, relating to state employment. Okay, members, recommendation is to keep this alive and to keep it moving to support the herd. So the recommendation is to move this as a Senate Draft 1 with some technical amendments and the effective date of July 1st, 2050.
HB 1556, all members present, anyone voting no, reservation, recommendation adopted.
Okay, House Bill 1640, House Draft 1, relating to collective bargaining. In particular, this is the repricing bill. Members like to keep this moving with a effective date of July 1st, 2050 as a Senate Draft 1 and also with some technical amendments. Any questions or concerns?
I will be voting with reservation just as the discussion has gone with repricing. We move it along and see if it could be a better solution.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair.
All members present, anyone voting no, reservation, Vice Chair votes with reservation. Anyone else? All voting aye, recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. House Bill 1944, House Draft 2, relating to workers' comp. Members, the recommendation is to move this as well with a defective date of July 1st, 2050 and some technical amendments.
HB 1944, anyone voting no, reservation, recommendation adopted.
Okay, House Bill 2463, House Draft 2, relating to wage and hour law. Members' recommendation is to move this as well as a Senate Draft 1, effective date of July 1st, 2050, and some technical amendments.
HB 2463 passed with amendments. Anyone voting? No. I have reservations. I would like to delete that section on the minimum wage of $4,000. With that, I have reservations.
Okay.
So all others, anyone else voting no? Reservation? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. House Bill 2382, House Draft 1 relating to the ERS. Members like to keep this moving as well with a Senate Draft 1 and a effective date of July 1st, 2050, and some technical amendments.
HB 2382 passed with amendments. Anyone voting no? Reservation? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, House Bill 2343, House Draft 1 relating to enforcement of orders of wage payment. Members, the recommendation is to move this as a Senate Draft 1 with some technical amendments and make this upon approval. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Anyone voting no? Reservation? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. We're adjourned.